You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Halt and Catch Fire After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Halt and Catch Fire After Show.
Hey there, Halt and Catch Fire fans. What's going on? Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's recap of Season 1, Episode 3, High Plains Hardware. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me, as always, a fantastic panel is here. Yael Tyygiel's here.
Hello, everybody.
Isaac Johnson is here.
Hello, and welcome to the Kill Room.
Once again, Jessie Klein is here.
What up?
Yeah, man. So, gang, you know, we're 3 episodes into this season. We're starting to see, you know, it start to take shape and where some of these relationships might go. We got a couple of, you know, interesting reveals. We got a scene that, you know, is definitely very, very interesting and is probably Yael's favorite scene of the series, except for the open shirt scene so far.
I don't know if it was my favorite, but it definitely is in the top 5.
Yeah, so we're going to break it all down for you right now. Before we begin, of course, just got to mention Maria Menounos, our founder, and her fantastic book, The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, which is tearing up the New York Times bestseller list. It's available at bookstores everywhere and on Amazon. Highly recommend you pick it up. You can see how she lost 40 pounds and kept it off over the course of her whole career, packed with exercises, recipes, and personal anecdotes from Maria, and lots of great photos. So you should check that out at a retailer near you. Now, folks, I was frustrated this week, mostly because I want forward momentum all the time. And this episode was very much about frustration, and it was very much about, you know, staying alive when the odds are darkest. And we have this image of this dying bird at the top of the episode, and it kind of weaves its way thematically throughout. Everybody is kind of gasping for life, and, you know, the humane thing to do would be to just kill it. But we don't want these guys to die. We want them to make their computer. So, you know, how do we feel? What do we think about the bird thematically with what's going on? I know it definitely applies to what's going on with Gordon and what's going on with Donna. Does anyone have anything they want to say about this bird?
I just wonder if we're going to have to kill an animal every episode for a metaphor.
I mean, we are 2 for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good percentage. It might be the relationship and not the not the computer business. I think the bird might be about the relationship, because especially in this episode, there was a lot of stress on their relationship, and you could see that Donna wasn't really happy with what was going on, and like kind of had like this opportunity to look at like what her life would be like if her high school friend, if she'd like
her high school sweetheart, it seemed.
Yeah, if she'd gone a different direction, she'd be going to Rome and Venice and all of that kind of stuff. So it might be their relationship that she's putting a shovel in.
All right. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. I want to start by talking about Joe, who, you know, at the top of this, at the top of the episode, he is actively trying to bring venture capital into Cardiff Electric. He's going behind John's back repeatedly, trying to make the business the way that he sees it. And, you know, as Nathan Cardiff puts it later on in the episode at the country club, you know, he was doing the right thing, but John was also doing the right thing. So, you know, he brings this guy in. He's already talked to Nathan about it behind John's back, and he's already got a strategy in place of how, if they did give the money, you know, the management system would break out, that John would now have to report to some guy named Roger, who's going to come out of the blue, and John just isn't having it, not for one cotton picking second.
He gives like a football speech.
Well, I mean, I just love how he so beautifully used his own folksiness to torpedo this deal, just to prove to Joe, you can't just do stuff behind my back, I will crush you.
Completely sandbags him with all of his Texas metaphors.
Got a lot of heart.
Yeah, we may not have a business plan or money or...
We're going door to door.
Yeah, we're taking it to county fairs.
Mom and pop shops.
That's how we here in Texas do business, because yuck 'em up.
Here's my card with my home number.
Call me at the ranch anytime. Yeah, he's turning the New Yorker's impression of what Texas businessmen must be like. He's turning it back on the New Yorkers, turning it back on Joe, and basically saying, look, you got into bed with me. You're not going to get in bed with anybody else unless I choose them for you, because I'm in charge. Have I not said that enough every episode so far this season? Come on, Joe. And, of course, Joe's not happy about this one bit. So he goes to lunch at the country club with Nathan Cardiff and with John. And
but I think he thought he was just going to have lunch with Cardiff.
Yeah, he didn't expect Bosworth at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he thought it was going to be a private meeting between the two of them.
I think that's fair. I didn't catch that, but now that I think about it, that makes
when
a lot
he comes
of sense.
up to the table, he seems pretty surprised that Bosworth is.
And the 2 scotches and a white wine.
Yeah, I just guessed. Oh, chills.
I just guessed you'd be into this wine spritzer.
John, I think he's very threatened by Joe, because Joe, I don't think enough credit has been given to the fact that Joe basically upended the direction of everyone at this company's lives. John was pretty secure at the top of this series. He was going to be successful. He was going to retire probably in the next 20 years with a boatload of money, and there wasn't really a lot of change to be had to this business. And now there's a very good chance that he's going to be destitute inside of a year. Yeah. It's a big deal, and I don't think Joe is giving him enough credit for even trying to play ball with him.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I mean, like what you were saying earlier too about like this episode or feeling frustrated with forward momentum, whatever. This episode was just about nothing necessarily going forward for the characters.
Yeah, it's meant to be frustrating.
Yeah, it's meant to be halting, perhaps.
Well, it made me want to catch fire.
Yeah, did it?
Yeah, just a little bit. So they're having this conversation, and Nathan says once again, John is in charge. We're gonna have John put us together with Louise Rutherford, who is an
Lulu.
Lulu, an old contact of theirs. Who is not the first name in Nathan Cardiff's Rolodex.
And she knows it.
She's a smart player. She's a smart cookie, played by Jean Smart.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's right there. Right there.
Just low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's just right there for the picking.
Yeah.
So, I love seeing Jean Smart pop up in anything. I've loved her since 24, and she was in Garden State and all this stuff. 24 being my favorite. But, she says, she makes a pretty bold claim. She's like, okay, I'll play ball. I'm interested in your little PC. I'll give you $10 million for 80% of your business. Hell no.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a crazy, crazy offer. And, Joe immediately shuts down. He doesn't even want to dignify it with a response. He, turns away from her. He's so disgusted. And, he says to John, for that price, we might as well go to the banks. This is insane. Are we really going to do this? And I think John is so desperate to, keep the company afloat that he'll take just about anything. And that's no place to be when you're trying to make a negotiation.
I think it also is partially that he's now in charge of financial decisions, and this was the decision that he wants to make, regardless of if it's a terrible idea. I think part of it is also ego, that he's got to prove that he can do this. And so he went with this terrible deal.
Or maybe that he's not going to be shut out either. If Joe comes up with all the good ideas and he gets the venture capital or the money or whatever,
right?
Then maybe Bosworth is worried about getting squeezed out.
I mean, also, he might be just thinking, I still don't think that he believes in the project itself.
No.
So I think he's saying that at least we're going to get a little bit of money out of this before it gets submarined and just dies. So I think he might be thinking about that as well. It's $10 million is better than nothing.
Yeah, I like this idea of John being threatened about being squeezed out. You can't have two fearless leaders, okay? You know, there's a Jobs and a Wozniak. Okay, if we're bringing it back to that, which for some reason tech giants always bring it back to, are you a Jobs or a Wozniak? If you watch Silicon Valley, they talked about it a whole bunch.
Oh yeah.
And
we haven't gotten a reference though to these two people. They're alive at this point in history.
yeah, well, we got reference to Steve Jobs, but not to Wozniak. Which
Wozniak was really forgotten a lot.
I know, until recently.
Yeah.
You know, poor Woz. And Gordon is so destined to be our Woz here.
Yeah.
And we'll get into him in a minute. So, you know, Louise, she so knows that she's in the catbird seat, that she is in the position of power. Joe is about to make a beeline for the door when dinner is served, and she grabs Joe by the arm and she forces him to sit at this dinner while they're talking about the first woman NASA has deemed fit to go to space. You know, she asks Joe, oh, how do you feel about it? And Joe says something I think is actually very revealing. Yeah. And he's like, it's a stunt. It doesn't matter. Russia did it twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
You know, and she's like, so you have to be first or nothing at all. Funny, considering that you're cloning an IBM.
Right.
Which I don't think he sees. I don't think he sees it as cloning an IBM.
No, he's trying to make IBM better.
Yeah.
He's trying to do something new and different and exciting.
Yeah, I think that this is just getting into the market and giving themselves a place to operate from is his first priority.
But it's also that she doesn't understand at all what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
So even if he said, no, like, actually, here's what we're doing, she'd be like, cloning an IBM. Like, I understand that's a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's done her own research. She said that. Yeah.
She knows nothing.
Yeah.
I love the quote, wrap it in velvet and call it baby blue. You know, that's she doesn't really know the PC business at all. All she knows is, you know, how do I make my money? You know, I've had all these husbands who've left me all this cash.
Yeah.
I have $10 million to throw around.
Jesse, can you unplug your mic and plug it back in?
Yeah.
Matt, help him.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is.
Hold on 1 second.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Magic.
Audio fun.
Is that better? Or
Yes.
All right,
great.
perfect.
Here we go.
So, you know, we also have this kind of long-suffering husband of Louise, Travis, who just like from the moment we meet him, he just is so, he seems so bored.
I'm sorry, is he her husband?
He's
not
her-
just a boy toy?
He's her
He's
husband.
her husband.
He's the husband.
I must
yeah.
have missed that. I thought he was her newest friend.
Third husband.
Third husband.
Third
My
husband.
apologies.
Very
Yeah.
arm candy.
Right. She married a younger man, give herself, you know, someone to show off and to feel better about herself. But he's obviously bored, and Joe picks up on that.
He picks up on a lot of things.
Yeah, he's a magnet for misery, and you know, he really reads this guy. So when Louise sends Travis off to find some brandy to celebrate, well, even before that, he says to Louise, "We're not partnering with you." And she's like, "Come again?" And he tears her down, and
Gives her a new one.
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you rent your friends, and you've repelled everyone else.
Make everything about you. I forget what the other thing.
And mediocrity. Those are the two things that cause companies to fail. Mediocrity and making everything about you, and you represent both of those things.
Yeah.
So we are not going to partner with you. And then Louise immediately shuts him down by turning to John and saying, so do we have a deal? Like, not even acknowledging it. And John's like, I'll have Barry draw up the papers. Poor Barry. Name
Barry.
checked.
Yeah, he got into this episode.
Yeah, love me
I
some
missed
Barry.
him.
I know, we all love Barry. So Joe basically makes a counteroffer by seeing an opportunity and finding Travis. And Travis, like, I love this line of, I don't know jack squat about brandy. Like, I think on some level he hoped that Joe would follow him out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he kind of says it before he even knows that it's Joe in the room, but I think it's just a hope.
They've got some very clear like moments where they look at each other during the dinner.
sizing each other
Oh,
up.
I saw that coming.
Yeah.
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
Very.
So, you know, Joe comes up behind him and he lays a hand on top of his hand, grabs him by the neck,
Yeah.
and kisses him hard.
By the throat.
Yeah, by the
Yeah.
throat.
Yeah, real
and
power move.
and Travis is way into it.
Oh, yeah.
Now here begs the question: Is Joe gay, or is he bisexual, or is this purely about power? Now, obviously, we can't know for sure at this point because we haven't seen this kind of behavior before. But part of me says that this is 100% a power move, and it's not about in any way about attraction.
Yeah, I think it was a business transaction.
Yeah,
is all it was. Like, he knows that this will get them. Like, Lulu will drop it if she realizes that Joe had sex with her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely a power play, and absolutely probably the character moment where, like, the look that Joe gives her when they come back to the table, and he doesn't have to say it, and he has this, it's maniacal, the look on his face.
Yeah.
And this is the moment where you know that he's going to do whatever it takes to get what he wants.
Well, even at the beginning of the episode where it's just Joe standing in his apartment listening to music and just kind of like staring off into nothing, I was getting a lot of American Psycho vibes from him.
It was a beautiful scene.
It was really creepy. It was like...
Wait, why was it a beautiful scene?
He
I don't
wasn't wearing a
understand.
shirt.
Yeah, hashtag scar chest.
I don't think he's wearing clothes at all, to me. I don't know.
I'll rewatch it.
He could have been completely naked, but it was really creepy. Like, it was just him, like, standing, staring
his intensity,
at nothing, as, like, music is blasting at him. And I get a very, like, American Psycho vibe from him.
Absolutely. Well, and in last episode, Gordon says to him, I think you're one of those guys that reads Catcher in the Rye too many times, and then goes off and shoots a beetle. Gordon, at that point, is telling you, you're crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do we think, let's just put it on the table, do we think that Joe McMillan is capable of murder?
I do not. I think, honestly, that the scene we saw with Travis, the scene at the beginning, the beautiful, shirtless, possibly naked one, I think Joe is, I wouldn't say evil or capable of murder, but I do believe that he is smart and manipulative and knows how to do what he needs to do.
And highly, highly driven.
Yeah. And I think that scene, I personally took it as him really thinking about the whole picture, just standing there with the music and just clearing his head to think about the whole picture and knowing that he needs to do what needs to get done, which is how we ended up with Travis.
Do I think Joe will murder anyone? No, but if he did, I wouldn't be terribly surprised.
You think he could be pushed to that place if it meant his own survival?
I think he'd wipe that armadillo right off the front of his Porsche and keep going.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's got to win at all costs kind of thing. I don't know about murder.
Maybe that's drastic.
I don't know if he has a code, but I gotta imagine maybe that's off the table. But how far he's pushed. I mean, he's pushed really hard in this situation that he doesn't want with Louise.
Yeah. I don't know that the show would go there, but I would say yes, he would kill someone.
I think he would beat the
ever-living snot out of someone.
I could see that.
But not murder them.
Okay. Maybe not with a gun. But, you know.
But I could see him getting violent.
If it came between him and his success, I feel like he'd do whatever it took. And that's included in the whatever. But I love this look that he throws Louise when he sits down.
It's all there.
Yeah, and part of me thinks that not only that, he's the one who chose the port that Travis brings.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's the most expensive one.
Yeah, we decided on a port.
Yeah, we decided on a port, the 1912.
Yeah.
And then he just gives her this look of like, you want to F me? F you. No, F Travis.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Everyone F Travis.
Yeah, and then, you know, we have this hard cut to outside as John's going off like, I can't believe she had us right where she wanted us, and then she just kicks us out. This doesn't make any sense. I don't know what you did. What did you do? And Jill looks up at the house, and then Travis has this, like, take me with you look.
The saddest look ever. Like, there should have been rain coming down the window
poor Travis.
pane.
I don't know if any of you know, there's like a meme photo of David Tennant, who played Doctor Who, in the rain, and it's just raining, and I just want someone to overlay that rain over that image of Travis, because it was just so beautiful. And you know, John's like, "What did you do?" And Joe just gets in his car and he's like, "I'll talk to you tomorrow. Here's what we need to do. We need to fund." We need to, crush our window from 6 months down to 3, which is insane considering how long it's taking Cameron to build this BIOS, to write this BIOS. We need to crush it down to 3 months, build a prototype ourselves, and then when we have leverage, go to VC. Which, makes sense, but is really pushing them to the barest limit. He's really offering zero security. This is the riskiest possible avenue to take. So we'll see how that's going to come together.
I think that's their only option at this point.
Yeah.
And certainly burn that other bridge with her. I mean, maybe they've got another like Rolodex of. By the way, Rolodex. I was like, what the heck? Oh yeah, Rolodex. Another Rolodex full of people to go to. But she also says that she knows she's not the first name in the Rolodex. So they might have exhausted most of their options at this point.
Yeah, it's possible. At the end of the episode, Cameron comes to him. We'll get more into her in the moment. But she had called his office earlier, and he's just kind of checking in because you're a talented coder, but you're also right now you're a bottleneck. You're preventing us from moving forward at the pace that we need to move. And she comes to him basically saying, "I'm stuck." And then she takes her shirt off in a way that basically says, "Now unstick me." They have all this kind of unspoken tension between the two of them. And I'm waiting for... they're both kind of so immature emotionally that I honestly don't know who would be the first to address it in a mature fashion and say, either A, we can't do this, or B, what is this thing that we're doing?
I'm amused that you think that someone's going to approach it in a mature fashion. I think someone is going to bring it up. I think it's going to be Joe, and I think it's going to be in a really immature fashion.
Sure. Okay.
I don't think a mature discussion will ever come out of the two.
Fair enough. We're also going to talk a little bit more about John and Cameron's story in a second. I just want to talk really quickly about iTunes. Folks, thank you so much for watching the show, downloading, listening, streaming. You're all the best. We here at AfterBuzz TV, we put out how many hours of content a week? Between 60 and 70, and they're all free. It's all no cost to you. It's all available on iTunes, on YouTube, on the Stitcher, and we deeply appreciate your support. How can you help us out in exchange for all this wonderful free content? I'll tell you. You go to iTunes, you rate and review the shows that you watch or you listen to. It takes a second, doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps us immeasurably in terms of getting sponsors, in terms of attracting guests to the show, it's the easiest thing to do, and you get a great shout out right here on the show.
Shout it out, man.
Yes. So we have a review from Strike It Rich. 5-star review, which we deeply appreciate.
As many stars as you can have.
That's true. Glad to see AfterBuzz pick this show up so quickly. So far, so good. I'm glad that we haven't disappointed you yet. IBM sure wanted to bring Joe home. Wonder if he's supposed to be related to the founding Watson family. If not, he's the new Dick Whitman, a reference to Mad Men. Yeah. And Don Draper had this previous life where he was Dick Whitman. He took someone else's identity. So it's entirely possible. No one really knows anything about Joe McMillan other than, name and a face and a Porsche.
And he worked at IBM.
And his dad works at IBM.
Yeah.
And is big in IBM. So he could be onto something.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I like this idea that Joe McMillan may be an assumed name, and that he may be someone else entirely. Though I imagine if he was, why wouldn't IBM say that when they were trying to basically talk him out of it?
Yeah.
And why does he call him Joe?
Maybe he goes by his mom's name.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But definitely something to explore, so thank you for your comment. You can also comment on YouTube. I apologize, I don't have that up with me right now, but we did receive a couple comments this week, so thank you for reaching out to us there.
One of them was from me.
I did see that. So thank you to Isaac Johnson.
Isaac, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I said this is a great show. The black fellow, pretty handsome. I think it was something like that.
Okay.
But I can't remember what I wrote.
Only the folks on YouTube are aware of your handsomeness.
Yes.
So for those of you who are listening, Isaac's pretty handsome. He's a handsome guy.
I'm more handsome than someone more handsome than me, I guess. I don't know.
On a scale of Barry to Joe, you're closer to Joe than Barry.
Wow. That is a compliment. I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it.
On a scale from Barry to Joe, yeah, you're definitely...
I'm somewhere in the middle there, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Without the scars, though.
Yeah, maybe a Brian without a mustache and some abs.
Well, Brian has also got a bit of a McConaughey going on there, if anyone caught that.
A little bit, yes.
I'll take like a Brian.
All right. We'll talk about Brian in a bit. I want to talk about Cameron first, she is incredibly frustrated. Stuck. She's been attacking this BIOS for a solid week, living at the office, confirmed this week.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
What is she doing with these paychecks?
Well,
$40,000.
Well,
I think we saw her first paycheck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, her first paycheck was for just under $400. It was for like $392.
$382 and 67 cents.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, attention to details.
To be
It's the key to
exact.
podcasting.
She's also going through the entire orange soda supply. Of
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah. She has a lot of orange drink, a lot of pizza.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's listening to all that fabulous punk rock. And
A lot of punk rock.
Yeah, she's grinding her pencils down to nothing. You know, Gordon has to fire all these employees, and she takes no time in just completely raiding the office for supplies and for bowling shoes.
Takes Randy's shoes.
Yeah, poor Randy, man. He was probably going to take those with him. Okay,
I would assume
Yeah,
so,
why-
because he's a
but
bowler.
he's weak enough that he doesn't just snatch him out of her hand. He's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
You
I
don't
don't get
do
how
that to
your
an edgy
bowling
kid.
shoes are part of your like property at work.
There's
Well,
a company bowling team, I think.
guess.
Gotta be
Company
ready.
bowling team, or you know, if he goes to bowling practice for the bowling team right after work. He doesn't have to go home to change the shoes. He just keeps them in the desk.
So she just legitimately stole his
She is a
shoes.
thief. She is a thief.
Yeah, but you don't take your
unrepentant.
shoes back from an edgy girl.
No.
Yeah, you do.
God, she's so edgy.
It was a tough day for Randy.
We thought she was edgy. We met some edgy street kids.
It's true.
Oh my goodness.
Edgier.
Yeah. So, you know, after just being completely demoralized by not being able to get anything done, she also, I think she has her encounters with John first before she goes on her little adventure, right?
She calls Joe first out of anything.
Right. She calls Joe.
Calls and hangs up.
Yeah. Debbie picks up, and she immediately changes her mind and hangs up. Yeah. Debbie's like, Cameron? And boom, hang up. No, I can't talk to Joe. I can't bring myself to do it.
I think she was calling for a booty call.
I think so, because
Yeah.
she's so frustrated,
Yeah.
and she hates that she wants the booty call. She hates that she wants the booty.
That's how she clears her mind.
Yeah, we've established that.
We've established a pattern of behavior. True.
And it's a great way to clear your mind.
Okay, yeah, but from Joe, from your boss, who we've established is a sociopathic dick.
You're kind of a monster.
A manipulative, handsome man.
He is good looking, but he's got some sociopathic.
Yeah.
tendencies.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Did you not just watch him bang Travis just to move ahead in life? I don't know if that's the kind of person that you want to be, you know, unsticking you when you're stuck. Okay? It's not
All right.
appropriate, especially when you work for him. It's not great. He's also shown just a constant pattern of lack of respect towards her. So, you know, it's definitely, it's not the easiest thing to ask for. So, you know, she finally sees her first paycheck and she gets excited. Well, before that, we have this scene with her and John Bosworth. And he's trying to understand computer language and the PC business, because he's now running a PC business whether he wants to or not. And it is giving him a heck of a time trying to figure this out. It's not his deal. And, you know, she comes to his office in the middle of the night after dancing through this empty office. And
As one does.
yeah, and she's rooting through his desk looking for stuff to pilfer when he makes her where he's in the office, and she tries to play it off. And he's like, you know, you can work here as late as you like, but you can't live here. Which is kind of a nice little blow to not just to her already wavering self-esteem, but to just all the effort that she's putting into it. It's like, I got another thing I have to worry about. Crap.
I think he's genuinely worried, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's
like
some
this. I
genuine
like
concern.
these scenes between the two of them.
First one. It's like gotta be the first
yeah.
like real one. Just them.
Between the
Right.
two of them, yeah, you don't see them together. Very
But he
often.
also treats her with more respect than either Gordon or Joe.
yeah.
Well, because he knows how to talk to an employee in a polite, respectful, mature way. Joe, I think, has never really had people under him, I think. And I think Gordon the same.
Except for Travis.
Yeah, he's had a few people under him. Then.
Yeah.
I meant in a business sense.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
I think that was all
was
business.
business.
Yeah,
That was a very
it was
much
one business transaction.
You know what
Yeah.
I meant, guys.
some serious business.
and I'm going to be
no.
honest. Who said that Travis was under him?
That's a fair point. We
Yeah.
don't know.
Thank
We
you.
don't know. Either way, Travis looked very refreshed. So we don't know who was under who. But in any case,
I should have Travis write the bios.
Cameron finds her first paycheck, and she realizes how much she's making. And for the first time, potentially in her life, it seems, she has money.
Yeah.
So she goes out and she buys a boatload of snacks. Twinkies and Let's potato chips.
More orange soda, perhaps.
Lots of orange soda.
That's what's got to be in the cup, right? I mean,
That's the OS in BIOS, is orange soda.
Yeah.
Yes. Big ingredient, orange soda.
Yeah.
So, she's about to go back to the office, I assume, with her snacks when she runs into some young Texas street toughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The punk scene is hardcore in Texas.
Exactly.
Apparently.
And they're going to go up to, the yuppie part of the city and tag it like crazy at night. But until then, they're just going to thrash and drink some vodka, but they're short on vodka.
They're just thrashing.
Yeah, so they're just thrashing. Can you fuel our thrash with some vodka? Girl who looks like us but is a corporate stooge and has the money.
She's a sellout.
She's a sellout.
Because she has a job.
Yeah.
I find it hard to see the guy with the
Ajax.
Well, yeah, Ajax with the perm mohawk. Throwing anybody.
Perm mohawk.
Perm mohawk.
Perm mohawk.
Yeah. Talking about how he's never going to get a job.
Yeah, he is going to die of a heroin overdose, is what's going to happen.
Or some sort of chemical overdose in his hair, whatever.
Yeah.
He's got that perm going on.
From what I know of punks, that guy's dad is super wealthy and he's going to college next year.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I'm never going to get a job. That guy now works in like a corporation or something. Like
Right.
that.
His dad does work for a computer company.
His dad does work for a computer
He
company.
does software or something.
Yeah, or whatever.
Whatever.
He's probably one of the people that got fired.
Yeah, he's probably Randy.
Oh my God, that's
No,
Randy.
we saw Randy. We saw who Randy was.
Randy would be his dad.
Yeah, Randy's the
okay.
Ajax
Yeah, his dad
Randy's
is Randy.
child.
Yeah.
Right.
You think Ajax is his real name? Or his, street name?
It's a street
Do
name.
punks get street names?
Yes.
Punks
Well,
get
because his
street
other
names.
friend we find out is Grimace. That's
Yeah,
not his
Grimace.
name.
Yeah.
Well, you might work for McDonald's.
Okay. Cameron, whether it's out of frustration or to prove that she's not a sellout, she goes and hangs out with the punks in this hotel room while they're thrashing. And, she tries to feign a good time. She's, kind of dancing a little bit, but she knows that, what am I doing here? I don't belong here.
She paid for that hotel room, yes?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, she did. They didn't
Just
have
making
money.
Well, the song choice was I've Got Your Money.
Right.
Was the name of the song. So it was very much she funded this whole thing
We've got
and
your
was
money.
regretting it. Meanwhile, Ajax is heating up a ballpoint pen so that he can do a little tattooing, and he tattoos her up with the Black Flag logo.
Yeah. Henry Rollins probably really proud if he saw this episode.
Right.
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Cameron, is she a poser at this point? Because she does look very edgy. She wears her high-waisted military bands and whatnot. But she's pretty uncomfortable with them in the alley, and she's definitely uncomfortable at this party.
Yeah.
Is she tougher, or is she not as tough as she looks?
I think it's that she's older than them. Because she's...
Okay.
she was about to graduate from college.
Right.
Yeah.
And they couldn't even buy booze, I'm assuming not just because of the money.
Yeah.
It's possible that they were still in high school.
Okay.
I think that's a possibility, but I do like that you're raising this point, Isaac, because we still don't know anything about her background.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that she was, in her own way, a teenage runaway like these misfits, but she had the smarts to, pay her way to get into college, to do something that was dynamic, that was going to lead to a good job. It's entirely possible that she ran away from home because she has abusive parents. We don't quite know. She could also come from a yuppie background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, she did spend a lot of her time in college playing Centipede.
Yeah.
And showing up late for class.
So,
She was bored, though.
Yeah.
That's why.
But I don't think that, just because she doesn't like being a part of the society that she's surrounded with doesn't mean necessarily that she's a, screw everything, I don't care individual. She obviously cares about her future and the future of America, the future of computing. So I feel like she was looking for a little rebellion because she's got nothing better to do, and she found it lacking in meaning.
Yeah, I wondered if also she's maybe a little stuck in between at this point. Now that she does have the corporate job, she, she's somewhere in between not wanting to be there but being there, and then also with the real punks in Texas.
Well, we saw that her kind of raging against that last week when she was shopping for clothes.
Yeah.
The fact is, she is no longer in their world, and not only can she not hang with them, she wouldn't want to because they're losers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she realizes, why on earth am I getting a tattoo from a complete stranger that I met on the street about an hour ago? This is stupid.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to get infected.
Yeah. But it gave her kind of a burst of inspiration, or perhaps desperation.
Probably more that.
Right.
Yeah.
And she starts scribbling out code on the mirror in lipstick. And ultimately, it's just not working. It's not working. But she realizes what the problem is. It's that, she needs something that's a lot shorter than the code that she's been writing, but it will still be able to grab all of the necessary addresses to boot up the computer. And at this point, it seems impossible. So when she goes back to Joe for, dare we say again, unsticking,
we dare.
Yeah, we dare. She's this close. She knows now what the solution is going to be. She just has to figure out, how to get to it, which is way further along than she was at the beginning of the episode. Yeah. So that's great.
I like that she admits that she's stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She finally, and to Joe, the person that's giving her the hardest time.
Yeah. It's an important moment for her. And to me, it says that, not only are these two going to get closer, but that the wall is starting to come down, and she's going to learn to trust her coworkers more. Because now she knows this is the world that she belongs to. All right. So Gordon is dealing with, first of all, this dead bird in his front yard, and he's staring at it, and I feel like he sees a lot of himself in this bird, and of his dream. He finally, his life had been kind of kick-started back into gear. It was finally going to be what he wanted it to be, and by the end of this episode, we saw him in the place that he was in the pilot, back staring into space in the kitchen, not being a partner, drinking
a beer.
Yeah.
Not yet. He drinks the beer later, but yeah.
Right. So I'm worried about Gordon for several reasons, and we're going to get into all of them. So he goes, Brian offers to give him a ride to work.
Mr. Powell.
Yeah. And, part of me wonders that if Brian, first of all, I think this was a calculated maneuver because he knows that layoffs are coming. And I feel like if Brian wasn't his ride, he would have fired Brian that morning.
I think so as well.
Because Brian he's a naysayer. And he doesn't know his place, and he's kind of useless. All he knows how to do is say no.
Yeah, I don't think he's a microprocessing person like Gordon had said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he kept him on staff because he's a neighbor, because he's a friend, because their families are close.
Yeah.
I think until the accident, I think he didn't realize how much of a naysayer Brian was and how useless he was. I feel like he saw him and was like, oh, well... Because when they were having the discussion about the layered array, and Brian was like, here's why you can't do it. He said it in such a, understandable, realistic, here are real reasons.
Yeah.
As opposed to, that's not going to work. That's dumb.
Right. He's like, it's a brilliant idea. It's a game changer, pal. But, these people probably aren't going to be happy if we try to do it. So, why don't we, I'll tell Joe, or we could tell him together.
Tag team it.
Yeah, we'll tag team it. Let him know that, this computer that he wants to build isn't possible.
Right.
When this isn't the computer that Joe wants to build. This is the computer that Gordon wants to build. And Gordon, I think, loses sight of that in this sort of, in the fear that we won't have the money to make it happen.
Yeah, he lets himself completely be talked into it. I mean, Brian just undermines him the whole way through, even from the bird and all that stuff.
Pow!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Brian is just the vocalization of all of Gordon's doubts. Everything that Gordon is thinking, but is like, oh, maybe I can push these doubts away. Brian is like, actually, here's why you should listen to your doubts.
Right.
You're wrong.
He's sucking him back into his numbness, And when Gordon gets to the office, he's trying to fire Randy.
Not successfully.
Not successfully.
You're a beautiful snowflake, and it's like
and you're so unique. And
trying to harvest the crops.
Right, and Randy's just kind of listening. He doesn't get it. When another guy bursts through the door and is like, listen, I'll wait in line for a beer, I'll wait in line for the rodeo, I don't remember exactly what he says, but I will not wait in line to be fired. Here's my reference letter, sign it. And Randy's like, we're being fired?
Yeah.
Poor Randy.
Poor Randy.
Yeah.
Didn't get it.
Should have put Randy in the back of the line. He would have not caught on. Yeah.
He'd been like, boy, these meetings sure are taking a long time.
Everyone leaves real sad.
Yeah, but I don't think that's how it'll happen for me.
Not for good old Randy.
Not for good old Randy. You know what?
Father
When I
of
go home,
Ajax.
when I go home tonight, I'm gonna buy my wife a bouquet of roses, and I'm gonna
Okay.
tell my son that I love him, and that nothing will ever change the successful track that our lives are on. Not so. Yeah.
So sad for Randy. Even when his shoes are being taken, could you at least wait till I leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for these. Yeah, you're right. This is a waffle weave shirt. Yeah. So
It's a cardigan. No, thank you.
Yeah. So Gordon presents his new team to Joe and John, and Joe tells them what they're going to be building, and they're all like, "What? This is impossible."
Yeah.
And
A laptop.
right.
Joe's come up with the idea for a laptop.
Yeah, and they're still pretty far away from it being, really feasible for something, that everyone's going to want to carry around. But he makes the point, via video game consoles, which are microcomputers, people want computers in their home. They want them in the home. You're going to make it, and don't be naysayers. So now it's Gordon's task to figure out how to make this thing possible.
And apparently in that speech, Joe talks about how there are computers that people make to be portable, but they're all like 35 pounds. And it's like, those are luggable.
Yeah.
Like, that's something you lug around. That's not something that you would take with you all the time. It's something like once a week you'd take it to work. And he wants to make it under 15?
Yeah.
That is? Yeah.
Yeah, 15 pounds.
So heavy.
Yeah.
So heavy. For a computer.
Right before, though, he makes his point by tossing, what is that, a computer that he tossed?
Yeah.
off the
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. He trashed a very
So
small
close.
part of a room.
So close.
So
Come
close
on,
to a
Joe.
whole room.
Yeah.
But we did get a dead animal, so
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes up for
Yeah.
the lack of room smashing.
Yeah.
He kicks it. He
Yeah.
He knocks that thing over. That's not what
And kicks it to the side. So, Gordon and the gang, they label this room the kill room, and they're all like, yeah, we're cool. And he's trying to figure out how on earth are we supposed to fit all these chips in if we're getting rid of the heat sink without overloading or overheating the computer, giving room for this monitor. I don't know. It's almost an unsolvable problem. So he takes his work home with him, and he does something very curious. It's not just that he asks his wife for help, it's the way that he does it. She's working on her own stuff for work. She's got a deadline. There's an issue with the keyboard for one of the products at TI, and she's trying to figure out how to fix it. And he just kind of is like, honey, would you mind looking at? And then, when she gets into it, he just kind of lets her take it. And I'm wondering if his original computer that crapped out, if she had a major hand in developing it too, because he takes her idea to layer the processors and then presents it as his own. And I doubt that this is the first time this has happened.
He very much baits her into it.
Yeah.
I think this is a pattern between these two. She's got something going on, and he'll kind of ask for it, and then she'll completely put down what she's doing to take care of his thing. I think it's a pattern.
yeah, he's kind of super selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is. He's very selfish, and really he only sees his own personal success. And I don't think that he sees it as a problem to take her ideas.
No.
Even though she is just as talented, if not a more talented engineer than he is.
It seems that she might be more talented.
Maybe.
I think that that's so. I think that she's very much not just the woman behind the man, but that he's, while not a fraud, he isn't nearly as visionary as Joe expects him to be.
She looked at it for like 10 seconds and came up with that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An idea that no one else has ever considered before.
None of the guys in the kill room thought of this idea.
No. and it could very well save his ass. And so he presents it as this layered array that he came up with in his kitchen, and the guys are all super jazzed on it. What? And Randy once again is like, I don't expect Intel or AMD to reroute their entire supply line just so that we can have a different thing. We got to be the same as everybody else. Blah blah blah.
Come on, Brian.
Wait, so Brian, you're on this team to make something completely new, but to do that, we need to be the same as everyone else?
Yeah. Exactly. We need to be the same as everybody else. Look at my mustache. Pal, donuts. Don't you wanna? Okay.
Mustache.
Yeah. There's no time to take that bird to the veterinarian, okay? We can't stop there on the way to work. That would be revolutionary. We can't do that. Let's just tell Joe that this isn't going to work out. Maybe hire some of the guys back. We start making software again, and everything's fine.
Wait, Brian, are you saying that no one has ever gone to a vet before they go to work?
No one has ever done that before. I don't want you to be the first one and find out that veterinarians aren't open before 12 p.m., okay?
It's a good point.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point.
Brian is like in the room with us every 10 seconds.
Infallible logic from Brian.
Brian's really good.
Yeah. So, it's just dragging Gordon even further back into his numbness.
Yeah, it was a super disappointing moment for Brian to take that idea. And I call it a layered array. Is that what you call it? Where'd you get? Oh, I found it in my kitchen. Like, give her some credit, man.
Seriously.
As I can speak, welcome back to Married Man Corner. If I can speak on this, you would never take your wife's idea. This is terrible. This is a terrible thing to do, Gordon. I'm not sure what you're thinking. At some point, it'll come back to bite you. Or maybe you should just hire your wife.
No. Married Man Corner.
Now what would a wife do if she found out that you had taken her idea and taken...
I can only speak to what my wife would do, and that's not rated for the show, I don't think.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Sexy.
She's a lovely lady. Well, I would never do it, so I'm never going to find out what that is. If you're watching, honey, I would never steal your idea. Anyway.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, Gordon is obviously not in a great place, and Brian is just blathering on. He's telling this story about playing cards, and he's like basically like, "What? You're gonna play the spade? What are you, a Redskins fan? Ha ha! I'm hilarious."
Was that a slightly racist joke from Brian?
Potentially racist. Or we don't know how were the Redskins doing in 1983.
I don't think that he's talking about the actual team. I think he's making like I think it's like an Indian or like back in those days was fine. Like Redskins wasn't a big deal.
I'm wondering if maybe they just weren't a good team.
Little vibe there.
But entirely valid.
Could be both.
In any case, their gremlin is wham slammed by another vehicle, and he immediately starts blaming other people. Instead of saying, I should have been watching, he's like, I said that they should cut those branches, and they didn't, and that's why. And, Gordon finally kind of like sucks it up and realizes that he's in charge, and he's like, Brian, you're fired. I hate you.
And then walks away.
Yeah.
And then walks away. Walks all the way home. It's just like, wow, I hate you.
Yeah, I think he knew he had to do it. He just, you're fired. Well, you're fired. And then leaves his car. His poor gremlin. They didn't get too smashed up though.
No.
They built him to last back then. Not gremlins.
No gremlins.
Yeah,
gremlins.
Specifically, because they would light themselves on fire.
That's a dangerous car to be in.
You can't feed them water after a certain hour.
Midnight.
I get it, because of the Joe Dante film. Also, just want a quick shout out to the director this week, Karen Kusama, who, among other things, directed the movies Eon Flux and Jennifer's Body. Great to see a lady director on the show. Very excited about that. Definitely brought some great visual flair to this episode. And, so Gordon gets home and he hears the bird a chirping out in the front. We thought that it was dead, but it ain't. Okay? It's still alive.
Even though there's an electronic headstone somewhere.
Yeah, for Bowser, the name of the bird. And perhaps a little prescient. Mario Brothers isn't that far off. Maybe they help invent it. No, that's because it happened in Japan. But it's Bowser, and we get a reference to the Japanese, and it was built by the Japanese.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna maintain that that's a valid
Because they don't
sleep,
reference. I believe the mom said.
The Japanese don't sleep according to
the
Donna's mom. Yeah, Donna's mom visits.
Annette O'Toole.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martha Kent, or at least that's who she used to me. Or if you count Superman 3, that did not happen, but if you did see a movie that didn't happen, she's in that movie too.
Yeah. Great to see her.
Yeah.
So Donna has this scene. She has this scene at work with Hunt, who's her boss, and her. It seems her former high school sweetheart, or maybe just the guy that she may have turned down in the past, or just never took a chance on, or something like that. Yeah. And he's now living this, fast-paced executive life, hopping all over the world with Martine, his Canadian wife.
She's foreign.
Yeah.
How exotic.
Yeah, he's going to bring her to the 4th of July. She better light something on fire like the rest of us and wave a flag,
She's a guest of this country.
We also get a sense of what Donna's parents do and where their money comes from. They have a catalog business. They sell things through a catalog. And apparently they were very, very successful. But there's still tension between Gordon and Donna's parents over, backing out and funding their computer.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm sure that that's going to continue to be a sticking point for both of them.
Yeah, and the mom says that she likes Gordon and loves him, but then continues to plant a seed in Donna's brain about wow, Hunt going all over the place and going to Italy and Rome.
Wouldn't that be something?
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? Because that could have been you.
Yeah.
I hate your choices.
I hate Gordon, even though
I love him, but I hate him.
But let's think about what it'd be like.
Yeah.
There's definitely, I think that Hunt and her had something going on.
Had a thing.
Yeah, they had a thing. Because what was the line? He says something about oh, you knew you were just in marching band, biding your time, waiting for something better to come along. I think there's something better that came along with Gordon.
Interesting. Interesting thought. I'm into that.
That's cool.
So when Gordon gets home, Donna's the humane thing would be to kill it. Could you just? And he's just I think you can tell I've had a day. I'm bleeding. So I'm going to take my shoes off, kiss the girls, and then wash up.
Which is the wrong order to do it in.
Yeah.
You should wash up before you go near your daughters covered in blood.
Sweetheart, I'm going to give you a kiss. Daddy, what happened to your face? Yeah. Doesn't matter. Go to bed.
Now I'm going to wash up.
Yeah.
Nothing is a better way to wake up than to wake up to your father with a bloody face kissing you
in the middle of
the middle of the night.
Yeah,
exactly.
After he's back on the sauce, as we see in the window.
Back on the beer. No more Dr. Pepper. So
just what the not doctor ordered.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So Donna has to grab a shovel, High Plains Hardware shovel.
There you go.
And she goes out to the yard. She sees that he's drinking, and she slams this. Well, at first she goes to pick it up and is I want to do this humanely. I hate that I have to do this. Maybe there's something I can do to save it.
It's covered in ants.
Slam it with the shovel. Do you think that this perhaps is signifying that she's done with their marriage? That she knows that he's not going to change. He's going back to his old ways, and that maybe it's time to think about moving on.
I think she's beginning to see the ants.
Yeah.
I think it's she's seen that there are other possibilities. Although in the previews it looks like she's still around and they're
still
together.
In the picture.
Yeah.
And at work.
I took it as a different route, that she's done putting up with his BS, and she is going to say something, do something, and put him in his place.
Good.
The way she hit the bird was I'm done playing nice. I'm done being okay, you go take off your shoes and kiss the girls and wash your face. It's a no. I said take care of the bird.
Pow.
Yeah. She's definitely willing to do the dirty work in this relationship. And I really liked that about the episode, that we found out more about Donna.
Yeah.
Her working relationship, how there's probably a lot of frustration there because maybe she's more equipped for the job than Hunt is.
Yeah, she's more talented than perhaps, probably even Gordon.
Yeah, it seems that way.
She's talented, but no one's going to give her the time of day. I think it's why Cameron felt like such a threat and why he didn't want to tell her about Cameron last episode, perhaps, because, she is better than people will ever pay her to be.
Yeah.
It's hard for her to get the jobs that she deserves. So I'm very, very curious to see what happens next week. So let's talk predictions.
Maybe.
No?
No, I guess not. Well,
All right, moving on.
no. Let's talk predictions. The sound isn't there, but we can still talk about them even without the sound.
Oh, can we? Can you do that?
Prediction.
Exactly. So next week.
Prediction.
Sorry, there's just a slight issue. I can play it in a few seconds if you want, or you could just
okay.
power through.
That's all right. She already
now
did it.
you're AfterBuzz
TV predictions. So here's the thing, right? What do we see next week? We see that Cameron makes a breakthrough on this BIOS and then ultimately loses it. There's a power surge, and the computer shorts out. She has no backup, and she'll have to do it all from scratch. Oh crap!
We see her on the roof, really upset with orange soda.
Yeah, with yet another orange soda. We see Gordon bringing Donna into the office to help work on the computer. I don't know if she gets hired, which would be great.
Yeah.
But obviously he can't hide that he's kind of taking her ideas forever, especially since he's mixing those two worlds. Well, how are we feeling? What are we thinking?
I think she's going to start working there.
Great.
I think that's going to be amazing. I think it would be wonderful for her and Cameron to both be there because drama. And I think eventually Joe, who it seems in the promo was hesitant, will come around and be like, wow, we should have just hired Donna to begin with.
Well, I think he'll
Joe
be
wasn't
more
hesitant. Joe was like, your wife can't work here.
I was
Or
being
can't
polite.
be here.
right.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going to be more pissed off that, like, so you didn't build that computer, your wife did?
Yeah.
Why was I even bothering with you? You're useless. Screw you.
Yeah, that sounds just like him.
Yeah, it sounds like
And then
very
he'll
Joe.
grab him by the throat and they'll make passionate love.
I love it.
I think that's a one-time deal.
I disagree.
And then he'll grab the dead bird and he'll make passionate love to that too.
But he has to grab it by the
A
throat.
lot of things, making love to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Just Joe.
Yeah.
Making love with everything.
Okay. So any other thoughts before we wrap up? All right. I want to thank you all for downloading, watching, listening, streaming to this episode. It's been a real pleasure. Yael Tyygiel, where can the people find you?
The people can find me online at yael.tv. That's YAEL.tv. And you can find info about the styling from Siren's Boudoir at yael.tv. And on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at Yael Tyygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL.
All right. And Isaac Johnson.
Twitter at Isaac Johnson, Instagram the Isaac Johnson, and please check out my album on iTunes called All the Things We Are.
All right, and Jessie Klein.
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find all my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on YouTube. And in terms of AfterBuzz, I got Defiance starting up season 2 this Thursday. Got Orphan Black wrapping up next week, as well as Playing House tonight. We got Marin with Jessie Klein on Thursday nights. So thank you all. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.